This happened a few weeks ago. I'm 32, living in a one-bedroom apartment in a busy city. As a freelance graphic designer, I usually feel safe in my space. I enjoy working from home, surrounded by my art supplies and computer gear. I thought I knew how to keep myself safe online. But now, I'm not so sure. I haven't been able to stop thinking about what happened. One morning, I was sipping my coffee when I noticed an email from an unknown sender. The subject line said something about my recent vacation. I hesitated. It felt wrong, but curiosity got the better of me. Maybe it was just spam. I opened it anyway. Just then, my laptop froze. The screen went black. My heart raced and in the days that followed, it didn't get better. I felt strange. My smart home assistant started acting up. It would turn off the lights or change the temperature on its own. At first, I shrugged it off. Just a glitch, right? But then I noticed unusual logins on some of my online accounts. I didn't recognize the locations. My stomach sank. Someone was in my digital life. One night, while I worked late, I heard a buzzing sound from my phone. It almost felt like a whisper. I looked around my apartment. Everything was quiet. The silence felt heavy. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. Then the strange sounds became more frequent. I could hear it during calls, those little interruptions I had never noticed before. It was like I wasn't truly alone. Every time I opened my laptop, I felt eyes on me. I would glance outside, hoping to see someone lurking out there. But it was always empty. Just shadows in the dark. I was freaked out. I couldn't tell if I was being hacked or if it was just a prank. Either way, I felt trapped. After that initial crash, my laptop was never the same. Sometimes it connected to strange networks I hadn't set up. I felt scared, like my digital space was a haunted house. What had they found? What did they see? One day, I got another message. It popped up on social media. It was a simple text that chilled me. I see you. I stared at it. The words echoed in my head. Who was out there watching me? Then one night, sitting in front of my glowing screen, I stared at a blank document. The thought came back, louder this time. Was I really alone? The feeling of unease settled over me. My heart raced every time I heard a noise. And just when I thought I had a handle on everything, an alert popped up on my screen. It read, "New device logged in." My breath caught in my throat. I didn't know what was happening next. I felt so small, so exposed. I stared at that alert, my pulse quickening. I shot out of my chair and grabbed my phone, desperate to see what device had logged in. The screen showed an unfamiliar IP address but no further details. My mind raced. Who was it? What did they want? I felt like I was in a movie, a really bad one where the protagonist gets caught by the villain at every turn. I didn't want to be that person. I needed to take control. I quickly logged into my accounts, changing all my passwords. It felt like a small victory, but I was still shaking. Then it hit me. What if the new device was more than just a random hacker? What if someone close to me was behind it? I glanced around my apartment, uneasy. I thought of the people I've talked to, the trusted friends who seemed safe. Could one of them have turned? I dismissed the thought. That was paranoia talking, right? I grabbed a pen and notebook, forcing myself to write down everything I noticed: glitches, messages, anything out of the ordinary. Maybe if I could see it all laid out, it would make more sense. As I scribbled, I felt a slight chill in the air, a change in the atmosphere. The lights flickered overhead, and my heart jumped. Had I imagined it? I shook my head, dismissing the thought. Then my phone buzzed again. A new message, this time from an unknown number. Don't look away. They're watching. I froze. My skin prickled. I looked toward the window, half expecting to find someone staring in at me. Instead, there was just darkness beyond the glass. I felt utterly hollow, alone in my own skin. Then, instinct kicked in. I put my phone down, bolting toward the curtains. I yanked them open, peering out into the quiet street below. Nothing. Just the normal sounds of distant traffic. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. But when I turned back, my laptop screen glowed brighter, a stark contrast to my dim apartment. I went to shut it down, but before I could, I saw something flash across the screen. It was gone too quickly to register. My heart raced. I forced myself to calm down as I hit the refresh button, hoping for a clue. That's when I saw an unfamiliar profile picture on my social media account. One I didn't recognize, and it was currently logged in. My hands shook as I clicked on it. The image loaded slowly, as if teasing me. Who was this person? Why were they in my digital space? I held my breath, eyes glued to the screen. I needed answers, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for what I might find. Then, as quickly as it had loaded, the screen went dark. Everything went dark. In that moment, I felt a scream building in my throat. I blinked. Darkness surrounded me, and I was still. My heart thudded in my chest. I felt around for my phone, half hoping the screen would light up and cut through the eerie quiet. I fumbled, finding it wedged between the sofa cushions, and pulled it out. I quickly hit the power button. The screen lit up, illuminating my anxious face. As the light pushed back the shadows, I felt a sense of relief. But when I checked my notifications, I quickly realized it didn't matter. No signal. No Wi-Fi. Nothing but a spinning wheel that only deepened my sense of dread. Panic surged through me. I had to figure out what was going on. My laptop was still unresponsive, maybe permanently so, but I needed information. I began to mentally retrace my recent steps, every chat ID had, each online purchase. Had I accidentally given someone access to my life? The silence in the apartment felt thick and stifling. I stood up, the sudden movement giving me a jolt. My phone buzzed again. I dared to glance at it, heart racing. A new message from the same unknown number. They're getting closer. That twisting sensation in my stomach returned. I didn't want to freak out, but every rational thought was slipping away. I stepped closer to the door, holding my breath. The faint sound of footsteps echoed outside my apartment. Were they real? Or was my mind playing tricks on me? I pressed my ear against the door, listening hard. The footsteps grew softer, fading into the distance. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just a neighbor coming home late. I stepped back, weighing my options. I could stay put or I could take a chance and find out what was going on. I decided to go with my gut. I quietly approached the window again, this time peeking through the curtain despite the risk. I saw a figure in the distance, moving toward my building. The dark hoodie did little to reveal their identity, but the way they held themselves sent chills down my spine. They looked uneasy, glancing over their shoulder every few seconds. I pulled back, heart racing again. This was too much. Who were they? And why did they seem interested in my place? I thought of the message. They're watching. I stumbled back, looking around my apartment for anything that I could use. My mind darted to the pepper spray I kept in my nightstand. It was a small comfort, but I grabbed it anyway. I needed to feel like I had some control in this chaos. Then I heard a loud bang against the front door. My breath hitched. The figure outside had noticed something. They weren't leaving. I braced myself against the wall, pressing the cool metal of the spray against my palm. What was I going to do? I needed a plan, but my thoughts spiraled. There was no escape, at least not without knowing what I faced. Then, before I could process what was happening, the door rattled again. This time, it began to open slowly. Someone was coming inside. The door creaked open, and my heart plunged. I gripped the pepper spray, the metal cold against my skin. The shadowy figure slowly stepped into my dimly lit apartment, revealing just enough of their face to send a shockwave of fear coursing through me. I could barely breathe. "Hello," they called out, voice low and almost casual. Was it a man? I couldn't tell. My mind raced. This was it. This was the moment I had feared since receiving that cryptic message. "Who are you?" I managed to croak out. My voice barely sounded like my own, tremulous and edged with panic. A brief silence followed, as the figure processed my question. They stepped farther inside, just enough that I could see the glint of a small device in their hands. I didn't recognize it, but my instincts screamed that this person was not here for a friendly chat. "Just looking for information," they replied, a strange calmness in their tone. It felt jarring against the intensity of the moment. "I'm not here to hurt you." That barely brought me any comfort. "Why? Why my apartment?" Their lips twisted in what could have been a smile or a smirk, I couldn't tell in the half-light. "That's not the question you should be asking." I took a step back, my breathing growing shallow. The shadows in the room felt like they were closing in. A chilling thought crossed my mind. Was this person part of the strange incidents that had been happening online? The weird messages, my dead laptop, the missing Wi-Fi. Had I become a target without even realizing it? "You're in over your head," they continued, their eyes narrowing. "They're watching you, and I'm here to help." Help? The word made me uneasy. I had no idea whether to trust them. Help? From who? What are you talking about? The figure shifted, glancing at the door before stepping closer. "They're coming for you. You've unknowingly caught their attention. I know how to make them go away, but you'll have to follow my lead." I felt vulnerable and desperate. "I don't even know if I can trust you," I said, holding the pepper spray up like it was a shield. "Look, I understand why you're scared. Trust me, it's warranted. But standing here won't help. There's this," they hesitated, then pointed behind them. "There's a danger approaching. We have to move now." My mind raced. What kind of danger? I didn't see or hear anything, but the urgency in their tone drew me in. Just as I was about to respond, a loud thud echoed from the hallway, making us both jump. That sound rattled something deep within me. I couldn't ignore it. What was that? The figure pressed a finger to their lips, urging me to be silent. "We can't stay here. Trust me or not, it doesn't matter. If you want to know what's happening, follow me." In that moment, I had to decide. Would I follow a stranger into the unknown? As the thud came again, closer this time, I swallowed hard and nodded. Desperation for answers pulled me along, even amidst my fear. I stepped forward, ready to run, but as I did, I caught a glimpse of something behind the figure. Something I didn't recognize, a flash of metal. My heart raced. I was stepping into a world of danger deeper than I'd anticipated. "Let us go," the figure urged, their voice rising with urgency. I took one last glance at my apartment, then bolted towards the door, my heart pounding as I stepped into whatever awaited me. As I sprinted out of my apartment, adrenaline coursed through my veins. The figure moved quickly, weaving through the dimly lit hallway with an ease that felt unnatural. I trailed behind, my heart thudding in my chest. Thoughts raced through my mind. What had I just agreed to? "Keep up," they called over their shoulder, glancing back, their expression tense. My breath quickened, and I felt the walls pressing in around us. We turned a corner and plunged down a narrow staircase. I could barely register the poster on the wall, a faded advertisement for a local event, as we descended into the dark. Every sound amplified: the creaking of the steps, the distant patter of rain against the windows. Was it really just rain or something else entirely? Finally, we emerged into an underground parking garage. Flickering fluorescent lights cast an unsettling glow over the rows of empty cars. My companion shot a glance around, then hurried toward a battered sedan parked in the far corner. "Get in," they instructed, urgency lacing their voice that I hesitated, mind swirling. Had I traded one danger for another? But a shiver ran down my spine, recalling the thud in the hallway, the certainty that something was pursuing us. With a gulp, I climbed into the back seat, trying to catch my breath while they slid into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life, and we peeled out of the garage. As we hit the street, I could see other cars around, innocent civilians completely unaware of our frantic escape. "What is going on? Who's coming after me?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "I can't explain everything now. Just know that you've attracted attention online. They want something you have, something you don't even realize," they replied, their grip tightening on the steering wheel. "What do you mean?" I asked, panic rising. Ideas raced through my mind, each one worse than the last. "Ever heard of social engineering?" They shot me a glance before focusing on the road again. "They use information from social media and other places to manipulate people. You're a target because of things you probably shared without thinking." I shook my head in disbelief. "I didn't share anything that's serious." "Maybe not, but they've pieced together enough to look at you as a resource." Their tone turned grave. "We're going to need to change your account passwords and lock down everything. Now, it's vital." My stomach churned. My life felt suddenly exposed. Wait, is that why my laptop died? Why my Wi-Fi kept acting up? "Yes," they said with urgency. "Every time something strange happened, it was like a warning. But you didn't see it. Now we need to set up a defense." My hands trembled. Everything felt surreal. I was diving into a world I barely understood, and my small life felt dangerously intertwined with dark forces I couldn't even see. Just then, the driver's eyes widened. "What's wrong?" I asked, panic creeping in again. "They've got a way to track us," they said tersely. "We need to ditch this car." I turned, scanning the street. A black SUV had pulled in behind us. It felt wrong, too many shadows creating a sinister vibe. "They're here," the figure said, their voice tense. "Hold on." Before I could respond, they swerved sharply to the right, weaving through traffic. My pulse raced as I realized this was no longer just about secrets and online threats. I was in the middle of something dangerous, and the stakes were rising fast. Then, as if to confirm my fear, the SUV roared after us, its lights shining like hunting torches in the dark. I realized then that this was just the beginning, and a fresh wave of dread crashed over me. "Where are we going?" I shouted, trying to keep my voice steady. "To a safe place. Hopefully." With that, I felt the weight of uncertainty settling in my gut. This made it clear I was being hunted. And whoever was in that SUV wasn't going to give up easily. The driver pushed the sedan to its limits, weaving in and out of traffic. The black SUV was relentless, darting between cars, closing the distance faster than I had expected. "Do you have a plan?" I shouted over the blaring horns and screeching tires. My fear bubbled up, threatening to spill over. "I'm working on it," they replied, jaw clenched, eyes focused on the road ahead. "We need to find a way to lose them." Ahead, I spotted an alleyway just off to the left. "There." I pointed. "Take that alley." They nodded, didn't hesitate. The car veered left, the tires screeching as we made the sharp turn. The alley was tight, the shadows seemed to stretch on forever. I could barely see anything except dark walls closing in on either side. "This way." The driver pointed at a fork. "We can double back if we take the right." We whipped around the corner, the car bumping over uneven pavement. I held my breath. The alley was dim, but I caught a glimpse of the SUV slowing as it approached the entrance. "Can they see us?" I whispered, heart pounding. "Not yet," they answered. "But we need to keep moving." My thoughts raced alongside our escape. Did I really have this much online exposure? Were they tracking me through every post? It felt dizzying. I stole a glance around the cramped space of the car, searching for anything to anchor my thoughts. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind us. The SUV had turned into the alley, hitting a dumpster with a sickening thud. I could hear the engine rev as they forced their way through, determined not to lose their prey. Faster! I urged, panic amplifying the urgency in my voice. Just a little more, they replied, their focus unyielding. That we swung hard around another corner, but the alley opened into a wider street. I could see the glow of streetlights ahead, but it also meant we'd be exposed. In the distance, I could see the SUV shadowing our every move, barreling towards us. Get ready, my companion said, their voice low but intense. We're going to break through. The car surged forward, engines roaring. I gripped the seat tightly, feeling a mix of exhilaration and dread. Would we make it? Who were they, and what did they want? We burst onto the main road, turning sharply right. The sudden rush of headlights blinded me momentarily. I could hear the SUV behind, revving and closing in again. They weren't going to let us get away that easily. They're right on us, I said, desperation creeping in. What's the plan? Trust me, they said, glancing over their shoulder. We need to get to that gas station up ahead. I spotted the bright neon sign and felt a flicker of hope. We might be able to lose them here. The driver hit the gas, but the SUV matched our speed, refusing to fall back. Then I noticed something on the ground. A black motorcycle parked near the pump. Can we take that? I asked, my mind racing with ideas. If we can get there first, they replied. As we neared the station, the driver cut the wheel, heading for the pumps. I held my breath, praying it would work. We skidded to a stop, the car still trembling from the sudden halt. Go! Now! They shouted, flinging the door open. That I jumped out, sprinting toward the motorcycle. The cold metal felt foreign beneath my hands, but there wasn't time to hesitate. I turned to look back, and the SUV was pulling in, too fast, too close. Just as I started the bike, I turned the key and the engine roared to life. I didn't wait to see what would happen next before speeding off, adrenaline coursing through my veins, leaving my companion to fend for themselves. But as I glanced back, I realized that leaving them behind might have been my biggest mistake. Which way was safe now? I could only hope they'd make it out alive. And that's when I caught a glimpse of a figure stepping out of the SUV, and my heart dropped. It all felt worse than I could have imagined. I sped down the street, the motorcycle's engine growling beneath me, but my heart sank further with every second. What had I just done? I didn't have a plan beyond escaping. My mind raced, desperate to shake off the fear that my reckless decision had put my companion in danger. As I rounded a corner, I searched for a place to regroup. I spotted a small park ahead, its trees shrouded in shadows. I swerved onto the gravel path and cut the engine, hoping it would hide me. The night was silent except for the rustling of leaves. I leaned against the bike, breath coming in quick, shallow bursts. That I needed to think. Where was I going? I had no phone, no money. My online presence felt like a glaring beacon drawing everything wrong to me. I replayed every detail from the car ride. What did they want? Who were they? Just then, I heard the distant roar of the SUV's engine. Panic gripped me. I ducked behind a tree, peering out to see if they were coming. My heart raced louder as headlights twisted through the park entrance. The SUV had found me. That I had to decide quickly. I could stay hidden and risk being found, or take off again. My eyes darted around for an escape route. That was when I noticed a maintenance shed nearby. Maybe if I got inside, I could find tools or something useful. That I crept toward the shed, my footsteps muffled on the gravel. As I reached the door, I heard voices from the road. They weren't far, and I froze, listening intently. Split up, one voice ordered, gruff and cold. We'll find them. They couldn't have gotten far. A chill ran down my spine. I slipped inside the shed, closing the door softly behind me. It was cramped and dark, with tools hanging on the walls and a musty smell that made my stomach churn. I felt around, trying to find anything that could help. Just my luck, a wrench fell to the floor with a loud clatter. I held my breath, praying they hadn't heard. The voices continued outside, walking closer. I could hear the crunching of gravel under their boots, their breathing so near I could almost feel it. Then everything went quiet. The realization seeped in, heavy and terrifying. They had found a lead. I gripped the wrench tightly, my knuckles white. "Where are you?" One voice called out, this one softer but still brimming with menace that I could sense them moving around, looking for any sign of me. My instincts screamed at me to run, but the door was just a few feet away. The voices came closer. I needed to move. In a surge of bravery or madness, I swung open the shed door, adrenaline fueling my actions. I dashed out but stumbled. I hit the ground hard, rolling to my feet and sprinting toward the edge of the park. Then I saw at my savior a small road leading away, illuminated by a flickering streetlight. I raced for it, my heart pounding in my ears. The road seemed endless, stretching away from the suffocating fear, but I could hear them behind me, their shouts echoing in the night. I pushed harder, feeling my legs burning, desperate to escape the threat they posed, both to my safety and my sanity. That's when I caught sight of something ahead. A figure stood in the shadows by the road, and my heart dropped once more. Had they sent someone else? Were those they? Or was I about to find another ally? I hesitated, my breath catching in my throat. The figure remained still, shrouded in darkness. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I couldn't just abandon the chance for help. I was out of options. The sounds of pursuit grew closer. "Hey!" I called out, my voice trembling. Are you friendly?" The figure stepped into the light, revealing a young woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked no older than I was, eyes wide but filled with determination. "Come on," she urged, motioning for me to hurry. "This way." Without thinking, I sprinted toward her. The urge to trust was overwhelming. She didn't seem like one of them. As I reached her side, she grabbed my arm. "We have to move. They're coming." We dashed down the road together, the night closing around us. I stole a quick glance behind, barely visible through the darkness. The SUV's headlights flickered at the park entrance, searching, prowling. My heart lurched into my throat again. "Who are you?" I panted, trying to keep pace without stumbling. "Why are you helping me?" "I don't have time to explain," she said, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "All that matters is that we get out of sight. Do you know any nearby houses?" I nodded, adrenaline still coursing through my veins. "There's a neighborhood just up that hill." "Let us go," she said, determination etched on her face. We sprinted towards the incline. The streetlight's flickering glow faded, leaving us in darkness again. As we reached the top, I spotted a row of modest homes. "There. That one looks good," I shouted, pointing to a house that appeared vacant and dark. "Let us hide there." We rushed to the door, moving quietly as possible. The last thing I wanted was to attract attention. I twisted the doorknob, and to my surprise, it opened with a slight creak. We slipped inside, closing the door gently behind us. Inside, the air was stale, filled with musty scents and the weight of abandonment. My eyes struggled to adjust to the low light. "What now?" I whispered, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. "Find something to barricade the door," she instructed, scanning the room. A pit formed in my stomach. I was terrified but thankful she was here. I hurriedly shoved a small table against the door while she checked the windows. Then I noticed something on a dusty shelf, a small radio. I grabbed it, turning the dial slowly but hearing only static. I hoped it would somehow help us. "What are we looking for?" I asked, gripping it tightly. Just any information, she replied. They've been tracking you for a while. I saw the signs. What do you mean? I felt a wave of confusion wash over me. I hadn't even processed how she knew me. She shook her head, urgency etched on her face. They want something you have, something online. I don't know what, but it's serious. And they won't stop until they find you. Before I could respond, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps outside. My heart sank. They were already here, hunting. I caught her eye, fear reflecting back at me. We need to be quiet, she whispered, sliding down against the wall to the floor. I joined her. In that moment, I realized the fight for my life was only beginning. And now, I wasn't just running for myself, I had someone else to protect. The footsteps grew louder, right at the front door, and everything froze. Then came a knock, a heavy, deliberate knock that echoed through the silence. Open up, a voice called out, slicing through the darkness. We know you're in there. The voice outside sent a chill down my spine. I pressed my back against the wall, trying to melt into the shadows. My heart raced as I caught the young woman's eye again. She looked just as terrified but held a finger to her lips, signaling for silence. Do you think they'll find us? I whispered, nervously shifting my weight, her brow furrowed. If we stay quiet, no, she replied, barely audible. But we need to be ready to move. I bit my lip, the weight of her words settling over me. I felt so exposed, as if the darkness around us was playing tricks on my mind. Every creak and whisper became a threat. I could still hear the muted voice outside, demanding we open the door with the confidence of someone who knew they could force it open. Who are they? I asked, my voice quivering despite my best efforts. She hesitated, glancing toward the door as if the answer might emerge from the cracks. They're after whatever you've got. That radio might pick up something if we can get the batteries working. I nodded, desperate for a distraction from the mounting fear. I carefully opened the back of the radio and began to fumble with the batteries. My fingers shook, and I almost dropped one. This wasn't just about us evading danger, this was about finding out why they were after me. A loud bang jolted me out of my thoughts. The door shuddered against the barricade I had set. Open up. The voice insisted, now more aggressive. We don't want to hurt you. I felt a surge of panic. They were using lies to get inside. The woman beside me focused her gaze on the window, visibly frightened. We need to try and find an escape route, she whispered urgently. Can you check the back of the house? I hesitated. What if they see me? They won't. I'll keep an eye on the door. Just move quietly. I took a deep breath and nodded. As slowly and quietly as I could, I crept toward the back of the house. The hallway was dark, filled with shadows that seemed to stretch and reach for me. I reached the rear door and, pressing my ear against it, listened. The muffled sound of their voices only amplified my anxiety. One of them, he had a distinct, authoritative voice, was now threatening to kick the door down if we didn't comply. I swallowed hard. Suddenly, I noticed something shimmering on the floor, reflecting a sliver of the sparse moonlight that crept through a nearby window. I knelt to find my phone, the one I thought I had lost earlier. I let out a breath. I didn't know I was holding the battery was dead. A louder bang interrupted my thoughts. The front door struck hard against the barricade again. I stumbled back, my back hitting the doorframe. I needed to get back to her. Hey! I called out in a low voice. They're getting in. I turned and ran, anxiety clawing at my mind. I returned to the front room where she was still positioned by the door, panic etched across her face. There's no time, she said, her voice rising slightly. We need to go out the back, it's our only chance. Just then, the door splintered. A few blinding shards of wood flew inside, followed by a gloved hand reaching through the opening. Hide! She yelled, and I dove for the nearest shadow, clutching the radio like it was some kind of lifeline. The door swung open. My breath caught in my throat. Someone stepped inside, a figure cloaked in black. I tried to make sense of it all. This wasn't supposed to be happening. The reality had shifted from running for my safety to now hiding from something monstrous. That's when I noticed it. In their hand, they held something familiar, my laptop, the one I thought was safe at home. Going somewhere? The voice dripped with menace. I held my breath, heart racing as I tried to blend into the darkened corners of the room. My mind spun. How had they gotten my laptop? Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to focus on the moment. My companion, still by the door, shifted nervously, calculating. The figure stepped further inside, confidence radiating from them. You thought you could hide? They taunted, their gaze sweeping the room as if they knew exactly where I was. Stay quiet, my friend whispered, inching toward the back door, but the mere thought of moving felt impossible. I wanted to scream, to run, but I was trapped between fear and instinct. The figure moved with a predatory grace. You've awakened something you shouldn't have, they continued. And now you're in way over your head. Then it struck me, they weren't just after my laptop. They needed something from me. Information. Secrets. My blood ran cold. Suddenly, my mind flashed to the vague notion of social engineering, the manipulation of personal data to extract control. My breath caught in my throat at the possibility that I had unwittingly given them a path right into my life. Get out of here. My companion hissed under her breath, shaking me from my thoughts. She darted toward the rear door, the only option left, and I followed blindly. There was no time left. I could hear the figure rustling through my belongings, a calculated search for something more. That we burst through the back door and into the alley behind the house. The chill of the night enveloped us, but I didn't think about the cold, I just ran. My feet pounded against the pavement, each step propelling me towards an uncertain safety. Behind us, I could hear the figure's voice echoing angrily through the night, but we didn't stop to look back. Reaching the end of the alley, we stumbled into another street, the dim glow of streetlights seeming like a beacon in the darkness. My mind raced. What are we going to do? I gasped, glancing at my companion, who was keeping pace beside me. We can't keep running like this. She breathed heavily, glancing over her shoulder. There's a bus station not far from here. If we can mix in with the crowd, we might be able to lose them. It was a plan, any plan, but would it work? I had no way of knowing which shadows still stalked us. Forcing my legs to move faster, the adrenaline pushed me. The distant sounds of a city awakening around us were filled with honking horns and murmured conversations. Ordinary life felt like a million miles away. What do they want from me? I asked, my voice trembling. Why all of this? The messages, my laptop, how did they even find me? Someone got into your accounts, she said, her voice strained. They've been watching you, waiting for the perfect time to take what they want. But you can't let them. I turned my head, losing focus as I navigated through a busy intersection, keeping an eye on anyone who might be watching us. Just then, she veered right, heading down another alley. I followed without question, a part of me aware that we were losing ourselves further in darkness. But if we kept moving, I could still hold on to the hope of freedom. This way. We can cut through this way. She urged. As we turned a corner, I could hear nothing but our rapid breathing and the faint bustling of the city behind us. It felt like I was running through a dream, one that I hoped would end before something collapsed. But right then, it began to sink in. I didn't know who was chasing us or what they truly wanted. Suddenly, she stopped short. Wait, she whispered, her eyes wide. I followed her gaze to an open manhole in front of us. Instinctively, fear washed over me. You want to go down there? I asked incredulously. It looked dark, utterly claustrophobic. It's our only option, she insisted. If they're tracking you, they'll expect us to keep running. But underground? It might throw them off. I bit my lip, uncertainty gnawing at me, but the urgency of our situation required no further debate. I had to summon courage, so down into the stinking depths I went, my heart racing. She followed closely behind. The darkness enveloped us instantly, the world above fading into muted echoes. The air was thick and damp, and I felt every heartbeat reverberate in the silence. "We have to keep moving," I breathed, wishing for reassurance, wishing for anything to blind me to the fear of what lay ahead. We shuffled cautiously through the underground passages, my palms slick with sweat. "How will we know where to go?" I asked, my voice trembling in the stillness. "Just keep going straight," she answered, glancing back occasionally. "Eventually, we'll come up somewhere safer." But I remembered the home with the broken door and the figure I had left behind. What if they find us down here? What if they I won't let them get you, she assured me fiercely. I believed her, even though the shadows of doubt lingered. Then I heard a distant sound echoing against the tunnel walls. Closer. My breath caught in my throat. It was a faint hum at first but morphed into murmurs. I strained to listen, but I couldn't make out the words. We pressed on, but the murmurs intensified. Anxiety washed over me. "What is that?" I asked, staring into the darkness, trying to decipher what awaited us. "I don't know," she said, looking back at me with uncertainty. "But we need to hurry." As we sped through the dark tunnel, all I could think of were the things left unresolved. Who was chasing us? What did they really want? But time slipped through my fingers, and the threat bore down on me like a lead weight. Just when I thought I might lose my grip on sanity, I saw a sliver of light ahead, a way out. I sprinted toward it, but as we reached the end of the tunnel, the sound suddenly stopped. Everything fell silent, wrapped in an eerie void. Only as I stepped into the light did I feel the weight of uncertainty. The figures in the shadows hadn't disappeared, they remained, a tension in the air, a threat lingering just out of my sight. As we emerged into the world above, the night felt too still, too quiet. I paused, looking around. The question that swam through my mind haunted me: had we truly escaped? Or were we simply running deeper into the unknown? They were still out there, somewhere. Would we ever find safety? Or would our pursuers always be a shadow, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike again? And in the dim glow of the moonlight, I couldn't tell if I was more afraid of them or of everything left unresolved.